So, Evil Dead Burn is our newest film to the franchise Evil Dead. Now, I'll be the first to admit, things change over the years, and Evil Dead has gone through many, let's call it cycles, in the pop culture sphere. I can most recently reference the Evil Dead the game, which took the whole 5v1 killer aspect and laid it out and created some kind of new plot points that brought in characters from throughout the generations. So if you needed any reason to think, let's not take this seriously, it would have to be that game. And although certain eras of Evil Dead or Ash versus Evil Dead mean certain things to certain people at certain points in their life, I would have to say that yes, clearly we're at a point where we are less of the original Evil Dead, which was a project, became a interpretation, and then a sequel by one Sam Raimi. Yes, the same Sam Raimi that would go on to direct the original Spider-Man trilogy films. It's kind of a big web, but it's fun to go back in time and see those projects, see those guys' vision for that moment, and to understand, say, with limitations of what they had, or what kind of camera technologies, or what kind of styles of cinematography they were able to get away with at that time. Stuff like that always kind of brings a smile to my face. Plus, you get to see Sam Raimi be really Sam Raimi about things, and that's also very fun. But as we move forward and we've seen the character of Ash be reimagined, be rebooted, be sort of continued in his show, it was apparent that we couldn't keep on using the same character for the rest of eternity. Army of Darkness is probably people's most favorite film for very obvious reasons. The fact that they took the whole lore of the original first two films and they stuffed it in a isekai medieval isekai adventure. Yes, that happened way back then. Sam Raimi, he's a fucking guy. So all that excitement, comes around. Bruce Campbell was clearly a little bit older, and we saw them try to reboot the franchise with the previous installment, which was Evil Dead Rise, which honestly was really, really good. I remember that being like a very intense film, and I believe I may have mentioned back then that like Evil Dead doesn't miss when it comes to gore. And take that as you will. I am a guy that understands human anatomy to a point that it hurts when things happen, because my brain calculates how much strain that's going to provide on the tendons, and it's not a fun place to be. However, if there's a story to be told, I'll be there. And seeing all that happen on screen is not something that makes me smile in the least bit per se. However, you do have to give them credit for what they were trying to do, how much they push certain scenes, and what they're able, again, to get away with the new era of practical effects and or technologies. So again, take that as you will. I think it hits in a way that maybe it's a little disturbing. However, that is where we're at this point. And that's really important, because we're at a point where modern audiences are able to walk into a movie theater, and we already witnessed The Mummy, which was a freaking body horror torture fest. But we've understood that today's modern audience is rated R is able to dip into something extraordinary in a negative context, because we shouldn't be going so far if you're a human being. However, this is a movie, so let's go ahead and dig in deep into it. Numero uno. This is a movie about family. Damn right. Mr. What is his name? Toretto? Mr. Toretto, sir. Don Toretto, whatever. What's his full name? Dominic. Dominic Toretto. Yes, Mr. Dominic Toretto. This movie is one interesting take on the familial plot. And already, right, you say the word family, and that could mean many things to many people. Some people envision a family of 4. You know, that's all they got. That's what they're good to go with. Some people envision a family with siblings. Some people envision a family with cousins and uncles and aunts. The picture, right? So to say that Hollywood is perhaps in a rebellious phase, right? We've seen Hollywood / Disney take jabs at your modern male, which, you know, makes people feel certain ways. And you get all those emotions, right? And you get the idea of what a family is, and you put them on the screen. And while you do want to believe that there are the best intentions in that group of people, because you really hope that people are just kind and nice and happy and are cool with hanging out with each other, demo, this is a horror movie. And the moment that family walks into the ricketiest, oldest, crappiest, shittiest house that I would actually love, because I could renovate that shit no fucking problem, is how you know that this is not gonna end well for them. The question being, who survives? And what is that saying about the modern family? Not the ABC show. We're getting serious. Yeah, because again, like, look, you could be chill and you can be like, yo, man, it's just a horror movie. It's fine. Don't worry about it. People are getting their heads cut off. People are getting their backs broken, doing scorpions left and right. It's all good. It's a movie. I go in there with a beer can and I have a good time, no, regardless. But we know what Hollywood is. We know its influence. We know pop culture. We know where we're at in the current state of the universe. And while that's fine, because someone like me who was born in a fairly healthy relationship and understands the concept of familial passion, a passione, if you will, can take that information, be like, oh yeah, I guess this could happen at some point, at some place, in some universe, to a family. Yeah, because, you know, it's not perfect. People aren't perfect. But when you get to the point where everybody's kind of, I won't say everybody, because there's some cute moments, but you got people going against each other. You got people, you clearly see the divides in the factions, whether that be the spouses, whether that be the incoming husbands, right? This family's adopting either a new son or a new daughter when their child gets married. It's clear to see how certain people can take that message and be like, yup, I knew it, I knew it. Like, I'm telling you guys, you can't trust these people. Which is, again, just how men aren't allowed to enjoy one Pragmata video game in goddamn peace. It does send a message, or does send a chill down one's spine to be like, whoa, but it's okay, because this is a movie about family. And wouldn't you know it, the greatest example of horror family we have, besides the Addams family, naturally, is one Resident Evil 7. And Resident Evil 7 will always hold a very, very dear place in my heart, as it is the first game that I fully immersed myself in VR through PlayStation VR and from beginning to end in VR. And as that experience really taught me a couple of things, the way they portrayed that family is not very unlike this film. So, to say soft spoiler, but if you've ever played Resident Evil 7, then you sort of get a understanding of who our main character is, what kind of conflicts we're going through, you know, personal conflicts slash emotional conflicts, and what we hope is the best outcome, right? Because again, we're put in a film where we're presented a group of people who consider themselves family. However, we don't have direct one-to-one references of how every single person in that family acts before this film. So it puts you in a spot to be like, well, clearly things aren't great, but how do we get out of this feeling okay about ourselves? And while Evil Dead and all its spectacular cinematography, clearly there's someone out there that saw Sam Raimi's original work and wanted to try something special in this film, which I do appreciate. It the issue, I believe, comes when we're seeing all this happen, and through all the intensity of the film, the new age gore that we're seeing, and just how aggressive this all feels. It really feels like the message was received. Okay, that's it. Don't worry about it though, because yeah, we've had Evil Dead Rise, which had honestly a pretty strong, cute message about family. Again, we're still dealing with family and family fighting, but at least there was hope in that one. Which, no spoilers, but seeing how they've decided to take, seeing from those two films, right? Let's consider it the reboot of Warner Brothers, i.e., whatever. And seeing how those two films sort of build themselves up, we're starting to see a pattern of what they kind of want from this series slash this property, intellectual property. And again, like, while it's fine, it's just a movie. You don't have to take things so seriously, dude. It's leads us to wonder, where are we gonna go from here? Because they did something cute at the end of the film. There is two end credit scenes, one mid credits, one post credit scene, and they did something cute with it. It really could mean nothing, but it also sort of implies that we're gonna be going back and referencing a bit more than just like that topic itself. So again, all I'm really saying about that is, like, how often are we gonna be mean to our family before it's okay? You know what I mean? We'll think about that one though. I believe, and I hope that there is sort of a end trilogy part where things sort of come around and it's okay. I'd like to believe that that is Hollywood being like, we we exerted ourselves, everything is daijoubu, now let's go build a family again. But again, it doesn't have to be that serious, but it kind of is. So, with all that being said, Evil Dead Burn was an exciting experience. I wouldn't recommend it for somebody of the faint of heart. However, if you feel like you can sort of mentally block out what is being presented to you, and you can sort of like digest the undertones of like what familial structures and feelings and interactions are being presented to you in this story, then yeah, it's actually kind of a really interesting, strong film. And again, like, not everything has to be that deep, right? Like, I wish I could just go into these things and just like be dumb and be like, oh yeah, I watched that Minions and it was a funny movie. But no, I saw the Minions and they dead ass did Akira in the Minions. So I really kind of want to talk about it, but ignore about that right now. It's the idea of all this is happening and it's hard not to see it as someone like me who is seeing the universe devolved into whatever state you want to call it right now, and that's fine. Everything's fine. But it's I'm still hoping that we come back around. That's all I'm really trying to say here. um was there a Ash reference? Was there a Bruce Campbell slash Ash reference in this film? I didn't see it. I'll be real. I didn't 1000% see it. I think the reference. I think I know what part it happened. There is a moment when they start dropping like lore, and that was probably my favorite part of the whole interaction. It does feel like they're sort of building this universe, and that gets me excited. It makes me feel like maybe we will be getting something akin to Army of Darkness, something outlandish as Army of Darkness, but we were able to build up to it from these two films. However, whatever that means in the future and how that is going to have to work out, that is for someone who is paid a lot more than I am to figure out. So I'll leave it into their interestingly capable hands. And all I will say is, let's be nice to the family. At the end of the day, what else do we got? So, ladies and gentlemen, Evil Dead Burn. I think it's a good moment. I do believe it is probably the least Evil Dead in terms of like what we wanted out of this. However, for seeing how this series has been evolving and where they're going, and as someone who hasn't seen Ash versus the Evil Dead, who knows if it's like whatever, I am curious to see where they take it from here. Again, I like supernatural. I like the fun trope of like they're here to save. They're here to fight demons, right? But they're not necessarily the best person in the universe either. And I while I don't think there's never really been a person like that. Bruce Campbell did a great job of presenting the specific Ash character. I look forward to hopefully seeing something like that. I really do think they can do some Devil May Cry bullshit out of all this. And come on, man, who wouldn't want some of that? So, with all that being said, Resident Evil is next, and we're gonna have to figure out and wait and see what happens with that. But hey, believe in the dream, believe in freedom, and believe Akira, baby. If the Minions can do it animated, Akira, baby. Come on, James Cameron, let's fucking go. Thanks for watching. Hit that like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the future for Rizzle. Ciao. Matane.